to Spiritual Warrior World. Spiritual Warrior World.
Hi, I'm Leah Montalongo. Welcome to Spiritual Warrior World podcast. Joining me today is Carrie Hoskins, a very dear friend and also a castmate. Some of you may recognize her from a little video game that you might know about. What's it called again?
Oh, God, it starts with an M. I always forget. Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Three. Right. And yes. So she has agreed to join us today on a very near and dear passion to my heart, which is starting this podcast to open up the conversation about spirituality, wellness, balance in life, and what it takes to be a spiritual warrior. And I thought, who better than to have as our very first guest, Carrie.
The one who struggles with it the most.
She definitely is here today to kind of share and maybe, give some tips and tricks about how she has endured many challenges, as we all do. But today I really want to share and celebrate Carrie. She has been an incredible friend to me for over 2 decades, and I absolutely love you so much, and I'm so grateful for you to take the time out of your day to spend with us today. I mean that really from the bottom of my heart.
I love you.
I love you too. Okay, so let's get started. All right, Carrie, if you could just give us a general definition of what a spiritual warrior means to you.
I think it's somebody who perseveres over obstacles and still keeps your mental wellness intact.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing my whole life is, coming from obstacle to obstacle and just trying to get over that hurdle and still stay a good person, still, keep my honor intact and all that stuff. And I think that's what a spiritual warrior also is. And, for me, maybe not for everybody else, but it's also keeping God as number one.
Amazing. My question to you is, do you think spirituality and religion are the same, or do you think that they're separate?
It's different for everybody. And
Yeah.
I don't judge anybody that doesn't do it the way that I do. But for me, my spirituality comes from my religion.
That's amazing. That really is amazing. Can you tell me a time, I know there's several, but whatever you'd like to share with our audience, maybe if it's something that's current that you're going through, that you believe where you kind of had to be a spiritual warrior.
Oh gosh, there's so many things, especially being a special needs mom. I think, the most I was ever challenged is when my boys got their diagnosis of cerebral palsy. And, when I got my diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos when I was 42, everything just kind of lined up, and you come into these huge obstacles and traumas in your life, and you try to get through without breaking down.
Yeah.
It's okay to break down, but when it's been years and years and you're still breaking down about it, that's when you really need to heal inside and do things, to help you heal.
Yeah. That is really where you get the aspect of the warrior.
Right. It's a fight. It's a constant fight. It's trying to stay sane.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
in a neurotypical way.
Yes. During these times, how have you cultivated your own spirituality? I know you mentioned God. That is number one for you. Is there something that you do specific to get you close to God? Is it through journaling or your workouts? Or I know maybe you shared running with me at one point. Does it change?
It has changed my whole life. I've had many hats during my lifetime. And I grew up, I think I'm going to come out of the closet.
This is the safest closet to come out of?
I am currently going through an evaluation and a diagnosis. My psychologist has already diagnosed me, but she's sending me on to a specialist. And I have ASD, autism spectrum. So I have finally made sense of my whole life and why I've done the things that I do. At the age of 52, I'm being diagnosed with autism. And it's amazing to me because I didn't know that much about autism. And as I grew up, you know, thinking I was the black sheep, trying to act normal, I've been masking my whole life, and I didn't even know what masking was until now. But I have finally been okay with who I am inside. And actually finally realized with all this research I've been doing and, you know, talking with my psychologist who's known me for 7 years, we've been having all of these aha moments like, oh, okay, so that's why you had that meltdown. But throughout my whole life, I felt odd and something was off. And, you know, I was constantly trying to diagnose myself with something, some sort of mental illness or all of this stuff. And now it's come down to it at the age of 52 that, oh, you're just not neurotypical.
Yeah.
You're neurodivergent. And that's a new word that I just learned this year.
I like that word. Yeah.
You're neurodivergent. And it's been just like an epiphany for me why I do the things, why I stim and why I break down and why I have meltdowns and why I, you know, go into a shell.
Yeah.
In social situations.
Yeah.
And it really has shown me who I am. And as far as a spiritual warrior goes, I feel like I'm overcoming in the fight, you know, because when you know something that is just so dramatic about you, it's this revelation, and finally you have this inner peace of what's going on with you and why you're having, you know, these issues.
Yeah.
Or why you think everybody hates you, or why people think you're weird, and now it's all okay.
It's all okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's actually made me quite happy because I've had my sisters and stuff go, why do you want this diagnosis? I'm like, I don't want it. I just want to make sense of my life.
Yeah.
And I finally have.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about it because I know there's other women in my situation. I know that autism is it's harder to diagnose in women. So
Especially high spectrum. And because when you just recently shared that, you know, I was completely blown out of the water because I've always really admired you and how you've handled situations. And I always saw that side of you as a strength. So it's interesting how you have positively affected, especially me. I can only talk of my personal experience of being with you, like on set and at Comic-Cons and E3, you know, like these different events that we've gone to. And even recently, like we both had to walk through something, you know, and just how you handled the whole situation. I have always admired that part of you, you know, and now that you bring it to the surface, it does make sense.
always honest, always blunt, sometimes rude.
Yeah.
I don't like to lie. I think everything should just be out in the open and everybody should know everything.
Right.
And it's not the way the world works, and it's hard for me to understand that. So I'm constantly the one who's blurting things out and saying, no, that's not right.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really,
And it makes her laugh a lot.
Yeah, we have had so many laughs, and maybe I need to do a little bit of exploration on that side of things, because I really always appreciated our friendship and the way that we can banter back and forth, and I really think that's a special part of our friendship. So
And that's probably why it's one of my few relationships as friends growing up and stuff that I have kept.
Yeah.
Because you're okay with whatever I do. You know, I don't ever think that.
I
you
really
think
am. Yeah. And in fact, I love and adore you always, you know, and yeah, so this feels like a Hallmark movie right now. But thank you for
I'm
being.
not crying. I told
Yeah,
her
she's not crying.
If she makes me cry, I'm going to be really angry.
Yeah, no, we'll edit that.
And then it'll be like angry tears.
But you look good with angry tears.
How do you know?
I think I've seen you angry tears. Shh. Okay. That's a different podcast. So Carrie, can you share with me just a little bit about what your current spiritual practice is? Or does it change like on a daily?
Well, now that I am working through a diagnosis and stuff, I have given myself a little bit more lenience in doing things. Like, for me to recharge, I don't recharge by being around other people.
Yeah.
That actually sucks the energy right out of me. I recharge by being alone and being creative.
Yeah.
So I've been spending more time in my studio, and it makes me feel great, because then I can come out and I'm ready to socialize.
Yeah.
And do all the things that I got to do.
Right. On an average day, what does your average day look like?
I try to roll out of bed. My husband brings me a cup of coffee before I even get out of bed, because he knows it's really hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. I've usually been up with the boys all night, unless they've slept through the night. Then I'm like trying to catch up on sleep.
Right, right.
Sleep has always been a luxury for me. I don't get much of it. If it's not my Ehlers-Danlos, it's my racing thoughts, and if it's not the boys, it's my achy joints, and I constantly toss and turn. So it's hard for me to get up in the morning. This question is taking forever.
No, it's great.
But when I finally get up, usually have a couple more cups of coffee, give the boys their meds, chat with Monte, our caregiver. And after I got them situated and stuff, and Monte has them, I'll go up in my studio and work. And my husband usually brings me down at about 5. You know, he lures me down with a martini.
Nice.
And we spend the evening together. Either we go out to dinner. If the boys are here, sometimes they're with my ex-husband. We share custody 50-50. So sometimes I get to go out in the evenings. But otherwise, you know, I'm making dinner, having my martini, and we have dinner together and watch TV at night, and it's pretty normal.
Pretty normal. Yeah. Sounds like a average day that is a luxury, though.
Yeah, those are my normal average days that I don't have to do any planning or whatever. That's just my regimen, you know, during the day. And then, you know, we do travel a lot, and I have art shows and appearances and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that messes up my regimen. But
Right. But are you somebody who likes the consistent schedule over the variety, or do you like the balance of both?
I like the consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, if my husband is out of town, I'm like confessing right now. I'm getting so many confessions today.
Well, I tend to have that effect on people.
If my husband is out of town and I don't have the boys, I won't leave the house.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like 4 days, and my car will not even move an inch. I will stay in the house. Music will be going 24/7, because that's what I stim with, is my music.
Yeah.
Same songs over and over. And I'll do my art. I'll just sit and work, and I just absolutely love it. You hear
And there they are.
my son is in the background singing.
Singing. He's like, yeah, we know. She's upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also have super hearing, so, because they're blind.
So
can
they
hear
know
you
that,
talk.
yeah. They're like, yeah, Mom.
They're 2 rooms away, and they can still hear Leah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am so similar to that. And I agree with you on so many levels. You know, just being a single mom, like, sleeping in is a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
If I get the chance to just leave my car in the driveway, I will just leave it in the driveway.
Yeah, even sometimes showering is a luxury.
Yeah.
Or working out.
Working out is a luxury. I mean, I do it for a living, but for my own sense of self, it's like I've had to sneak over here and get a couple workouts in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that takes us to our next activity. Our next
We're gonna do
question.
activities.
We're going to do some working out. All right,
So
so
get the bands for your ankles.
yes, I love that one. My gosh. Her trainer was here. I came over, and this trainer made me put these bands, and I've been in the fitness arena for a while.
It's Amber. Everybody knows who Amber is.
Oh, yeah. So Amber, the trainer, and her. I was sore for like 3 days. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Amber. Okay.
Your butt looked really good today when you walked in, though.
Thank you. I've been doing those band workouts. I now use it in my workout, so paid off. Okay. What inspires you? Oh, well, you already kind of answered this, but overall, do you have like a consistent theme that inspires you, or does it change? No, I think
Well, that's one of my
them.
inspirations right there. He's answering my question for me.
So sweet.
Yeah, love. Love is my inspiration. And I love my family. I love the people that I'm close to. I'm constantly doing things for them because that makes me happy inside. I would have to say my biggest inspiration is my family and love.
Yeah. And I have also really admired you all these years. I remember when the boys were born, and I remember when you were pregnant with Leah, you know, and just how much you really have walked through and just constantly always exemplify spiritual warrior to me. So
Thank you.
it's true. It just made so much sense when I embarked on this journey. I was like, I really want Carrie to be my first guest because I just really want to showcase. Like, makes me sad, just to have been there and kind of witnessed how much you've had to endure.
But what amazing gift God gave the boys and me. You know, for two people like them, they are severely disabled, cortical blindness, G-tube fed, cerebral palsy, Ehlers-Danlos. They are in reclined wheelchairs. They're nonverbal, but you know they have a personality, and
Yeah.
they do. They are very spiritual. They're very different. One is outgoing, one is an introvert. What a great gift that we give each other.
Yeah.
Now that I know what's going on with me with the autism
So-
diagnosis, that is the best thing
Got
that
it.
Luke and Zach can have, is somebody who has to stick to a regimen and
Yeah.
cannot veer off. It's what has kept them alive for so long.
You
know,
are-
of course,
yeah.
family and the support system. But that regimen that I need to stick to all
Yeah.
the time with them has been an attribute,
Yeah.
because that's what people with cerebral palsy and medical issues need. They need a medication schedule. They need a scheduled period, because when you're blind and you don't have control of your body, you need to be able to count on something and somebody.
That reliability.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think just kind of talking in that space a little bit more, what a great way to kind of celebrate, you know, the fact that you are finally getting this diagnosis. But, you know, my son actually has a really close friend who's been diagnosed high spectrum, and I already see just the sweetness and the kindness in his soul and spirit. And I think, you know, there are no mistakes, and I think God definitely brought all of you together. But it only kind of showcases the benefit of this diagnosis that you're now finally getting. It's like, holy cow, you took the parts of you that maybe didn't work other places and gave you this incredible experience.
Yeah.
And a life, 3 lives.
I just wish it didn't take so long.
So Carrie, for our audience, if there's somebody who might be struggling with kind of, after now hearing all of these things that you're sharing about, what would you suggest for that person to do?
Seek counseling. Find a psychologist who specializes in it. You know, I can't say how much I truly believe in having a therapist or a psychologist or somebody you can just bounce your ideas off of. Mine has saved my life for the last 7 years. You know, I came to her, I was so depressed and thought I was bipolar and all this stuff, and she's like, "You're one of the most consistent patients I've had." And I'm like, well, then what the heck's wrong with me? But we're figuring it out. So I really highly recommend just seeking counseling.
Yeah. And then I have to ask, how would you wholeheartedly share with others how they would, how would they cultivate becoming a spiritual warrior? Some things that you might suggest if someone is, you know.
The first thing that came to my mind is boundaries, working on your boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, people hear that a lot, but how many things a day do you do that you really don't want to do? Or how many times do you say yes when you really want to say no? You know, practice saying no. Protect yourself, protect your heart. You know, for those you want to have an open heart for those that deserve it. So creating those boundaries and not having everything all out here, bring it in a little.
Yeah.
Simplify.
Simplify. Yeah, make it easy. Less is more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless
Okay.
it's shoes.
And a what?
Unless it's shoes.
Unless it's shoes, then you
Then
need
more
more
is better.
shoes. Yeah. All right. Well, in our closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yes, Leah is amazing. I love her so much. And I love my fans.
Yes.
I really do. They've really gotten me through a lot of depressions and they've boosted my ego so much. I know it's a horrible thing to have, an ego and all that stuff, but sometimes you do need a boost.
Oh, you deserve a boost.
Yeah.
A big one.
Sometimes when you're down, it's nice to have someone saying, "You're great."
Yes.
And, keep it up. Use the words for somebody that you might think is down. Tell them they're great.
Yeah.
Find an attribute in them that, is positive and remind them.
Yeah. I think that's really, and you've always been really great about that too. Like with me,
Really?
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, I walked in and you were like, "You look really pretty today," and I was like, "Thank you." Sonia Blade just told me I was pretty. The real Sonia Blade.
I think it's just an observation that has to come out of my mouth.
I know. You would tell me if I didn't. Yeah. She'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Is everything okay?"
Because I've done that too.
You have. Yes, you have.
It
Yeah.
drives my daughter crazy.
She's really
Mom,
lucky.
I don't need to know that.
Oh, she's really lucky. Your whole family's so lucky, and I feel really lucky that we're friends. And thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and hopefully we will get to see you guys really soon. Have a great one.
Be a warrior. Stay a warrior. Be inspired. Stay inspired. Join our community. This is Spiritual Warrior